Okay, we are good to go.
And I got the headset on. It seemed to be charged, so we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, that's good news. So, we are here. We have viewers. I can see. Let's pull up the right things. And oh, I got to pull up the first video we're going to talk about when it comes to economics.
Right. Get ready to do that while I make my complaints.
Go ahead, make your
So, as you
complaints.
know, oh yeah, I have complaints. I have one major complaint. Uh,
You love me and you
I
know it.
Yeah, that might be, but that still doesn't mean there ain't complaints. So everybody knows she was on strike 2 as of Tuesday. Well, now she's on strike 3 as today, and I don't know what type of punishment she should receive because all this time, all this work and energy, and would you like to take it from there, Crazy Bee?
Yeah, so I told Dee that all this stuff that she was worried about. Uh, I brought up that we are
Right?
doing a podcast, not a thesis for a doctoral degree, a doctorate. Had her
Yeah, she's like,
laughing.
you send too much information, you're looking for too much, you're blowing up my DMs, you got the forums
Oh, I see
crazy. She's like,
JJ. I don't know how to do raids, so if she does raid, awesome. If not, no big deal. If I'm not too upset either way. I don't know how to do raids, so I don't know how to help with that.
yeah, I have no clue either. I've just participated in them.
Yeah. But yeah, you were going to continue how about how
Yes,
horrible I am for letting
yes,
you.
yes. She's let me go on this many weeks since March the 9th, so we're about 6 weeks in. And she's like, D, you're just like overdoing it. She goes, you do not have to have 3 confirmed sources for every story we're going to tell. You are not doing your doctoral thesis. To which I then said, yes, I am. It's in podcasting, and that, I am working on it. So therefore,
I am going to be printing off a certificate of some
yeah,
sort and emailing it to
right,
her. I'm going to
correct.
create a podcasting doctorate for her.
Yeah. So all of this time, she's like, and I'm serious. When I tell you I've blown up her DMs, it's like, can you pull this? Can you find this? We need to get this source. Can you do that? And she's just laughing, thinking it's funny.
I do.
Although she
I
has,
find it
but
amusing.
she has gotten the information, anything that's needed. I won't lie. Her and some
Even
other
if I do
people are
slight
looking.
eye rolls and chuckles at it. But yes.
Yes, I. Well, she's lucky I've never seen the eye roll because then she would get slapped for that. So she is lucky. And but all this time, and she's like, "Oh well, I was just trying to find the right time, the appropriate time." And I'm thinking, the right time, the appropriate time. Do you know how many hours? You know,
But I also
yeah,
brought up, if I had told you that day when you were worrying about all this, would you have actually listened to me?
probably not, and I probably will not continue to listen. So it's going to be the same. So her DMs will probably get blown up. I'll put stuff in the forum that is like for sure, but other stuff is like, I need you to listen to this. What part do you want to cover? I'll put, timestamps on it or not, uh, or comments. I'll do stuff like just give her the slap on the head emoji and be like, oh my God, you got to listen to this one. But in all seriousness, the amount of work that we put into, and Crazy Bee as well, who's joined us so far.
Um, Outlaw Dog, they weren't able to get the raid to work, and that's fine. I actually,
Okay.
instead of typing it, I'm just gonna say thank you, Outlaw Dog. I really,
Okay.
truly appreciate it. I don't know how to do raids either, but
Right.
definitely you can try anytime we're on. I'm not worried. If I think it's something like in a command, you got to do like a / raid, and then I know you got to put
Yeah.
in the name of the
Yeah.
channel, but I don't know from. I've never tried
Yeah.
it, to be
Yeah.
honest.
I haven't done it. Yeah. I've participated, but never have done it.
Hey,
And
Blue
JJ's
Rose.
there. Hey, Blue. Blue, I'm eating ramen because we were working until 2:15 and went, oh shit, we're going live short.
Actually, 2:05, well,
Oh, I
3:05-ish.
2:15. So
Started at 2:15 till 3:05 when we actually got to
right,
go live.
right. So hey JJ, I finally got to read all your comments from the other day. Thank you. I appreciate the humor. Uh, some of the stuff was pretty funny, but in all seriousness, Crazy Bee and myself, we get a lot of uh, resources. And she said to me, D, you don't need to send me 15 different videos and articles about this one subject. So I'll try to cut it down to maybe 10 to start with because I'm in withdrawal. I'm going to go
As
through
long as they
withdrawal.
aren't repeating themselves, I don't mind,
Right,
but if it starts to be they're
right,
repeating each other, it's gonna be like,
right. Well, the
not
issue
playing
is,
that.
yeah. Well, the issue is you'll see that I'm like, I thought I like this one better than I like that one, and we both need to make decisions, to participate. This isn't a here's what we're going
One-way
to
street.
present. Yeah, it's not a one-way street. We both communicate back and forth and are like, do you like this? Do you like that? And sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no, and for the most part, we're on the same page. Other times, it's like you go for it. So
Yep.
uh, it is what it is. And in
Oh,
fact, didn't we? Yeah, what was that we were
no,
going to bring up?
I'm being a dingbat. I got the wrong thing pulled up. You had a current
No,
event
but
first. I
yeah, is
apologize. Let
that
me go find that.
and isn't that our topic for today of
I
what we
gotta
were going to
find
discuss?
it. Hold
Yeah,
on. Be patient. It was that one from Detroit, right? Dearborn?
I
The
don't
lawyer?
remember.
The lawyer?
I think so. I don't know at this point. I'm
Yes,
dazed and
yes.
confused.
We weren't sure
Is
if
that
it was
it?
gonna be propaganda or not. We
Okay,
think it was someone just kinda pulling some nonsensical shit. So,
right.
um, no, I got it
Is
right.
this the one? Wait, wait, wait. Is this the one we kind of were presenting different views on, though? Remember
Mm,
we remember we had an issue where you were one way and you were
no,
trying
no,
to
no, no,
it on.
that's on the tariffs. That's later.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no,
Go ahead.
this is,
Whatever you got.
no, I just wanted to make sure I had it in place and everything because,
I don't know what we're
me
doing.
I don't know
I don't
either. We don't
well,
plan this stuff out very well, do we?
no, we don't. That's why we said this is all raw and live, unfiltered. We do not
Oh,
seriously, like today, we had an issue with tariffs, and we both had to tell each other to shut up. We don't wanna know
uh-huh,
your position so that when we play it, you're getting the real deal. We are not talking about stuff in advance, and
uh-huh.
so when we're arguing or agreeing or whatever it is or disagreeing, uh, it is what it's live and unfiltered, so you get what you
It
get.
is that I just checked the DMs because I needed to copy the link to the video, and,
Yeah.
yes, it is a lawyer that is claiming to have been being harassed and, by the Trump administration for, what the fuck is
Mhm.
it? Yeah, the thing,
Mhm.
yeah, we'll watch it in the video. I can't think of the word right
There you go.
now.
There you go.
Yeah, my brain's not working. I'm still not feeling 100%. Yesterday, I was not up to par, as everybody probably guessed by me not being on Discord or going live. So I've been kind of icky, but no, it is the
She's
one we were
always
talking
icky.
about, the lawyer who got
Okay.
stopped at the airport. That
Oh,
video.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
up in
see, that's the
Michigan.
problem. Yeah, we don't keep track of either yet. We're still trying to figure out the process. So,
Who's
all of
Blue
you that are
Toes? Blue Toes.
you I
JJ's.
have
Hold on. There's a typo.
oh, that should
Blue
be Blue
toast instead
Rose.
of rose. It went
Well,
toes.
her toes might be blue. I've never confirmed that with her, but
I
maybe
love
she
it.
could address that in the chat. Blue, do you got blue toes too that we don't know about?
I just noticed that, JJ. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make fun, but it's adorable. I'm
It
just
is.
wondering who Blue Toes is.
I was like, "What? We got another blue in the house? Because
No,
there are
just a
other blues."
typo. Just a typo. No, they aren't
Whenever
blue.
All
And
right.
then JJ says, "Love you both, the salt of the earth."
Here you go.
I think that's a bit of an understatement.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're
Isn't
both
there a song
salty.
Yeah, isn't there a song, "Shake the Salt Shaker" or something like that?
I don't
Hmm.
remember. I know that there's
Yeah.
a um superstition that if something is said or done, you throw a pinch of salt over your shoulder. But
I never believed that.
I grew up in it, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I
given your
knock on
background.
wood, cross my fingers, and send out prayers.
Mhm. I do that all the time, like right now. Let us
Uh-huh.
pray. Go ahead, hit it.
All right, let's pray this works, right? Or
Yep.
where's the volume at? Okay, I hope it's not going to be too loud on my ears. Let's go.
Detained at DTW. A local attorney says he was held for nearly 2 hours at Detroit Metro Airport by Customs and Border Protection agents. He claims he was targeted because of the high-profile cases he's taken on. Thanks for being here with us. I'm Kimberly Gill.
And I'm Ty Steele. The attorney Amir McLeod represents activists who were facing criminal charges related to pro-Palestine protests at the University of Michigan last year. Jacqueline Francis joining us live at the airport tonight with how the border agents are responding to this as well. Jacqueline.
This all happened here on Sunday at Detroit Metro Airport. The attorney was stopped coming back into the country, and he says it appeared that the agents were expecting him. Touchdown at DTW, Amir Maclid was on his way home from spring break with his family when the agent asked for a TTRT.
And at that point, I realized it meant Tactical Terrorism Response Team, which really scared me.
At first, he thought it could be racial profiling. Then he realized it was something else. He was taken in for interrogation.
He led with, we know that you're an attorney and we know that you have some high-profile cases that you're litigating. And the only high-profile case I'm litigating right now is the case of Samantha Lewis. Samantha is an activist who was charged in Ann Arbor for protesting against the war in Gaza.
He says the agents demanded his phone. He said no because of privileged information on his device. They ultimately landed on searching his contact list only. Nearly 2 hours later, he was released, phone in hand, telling us this was targeted.
I think it's an attempt to dissuade attorneys from taking on these causes. It's really an attempt to intimidate lawyers from standing up for people who are engaged in political speech.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection are pushing back on those allegations, releasing a statement saying in part, quote, "This lawyer's accusations are blatantly false and sensationalized." During the approximately 90-minute screening, officers worked to ensure attorney-client privilege was respected during electronic media search. Claims that this was an attack on his profession or were politically motivated are baseless. Our officers are following the law, not agendas. Amir tells me he thinks that attorneys like him are being specifically targeted for taking on cases that clash with the Trump administration. Reporting live from Detroit Metro Airport, Jacqueline Francis, local.
Sounds very familiar. How many people did we hear saying that Biden's administration was, well, they were going after parents at PTA meetings and stuff.
Right.
But the question is does the guy have ties to Hamas that would give them a legitimate reason as to, because he's defending someone on this. I mean, I'm sure he's been
Well,
investigated on a federal level, but airport security is not going to do that over that kind of nonsense.
well, first off, he's only working on one case. And the way the
Uh-huh.
media starts out with it, he's working on high profile cases. I've never heard his name. I've never seen him on TV or anything like that.
I lived in the area and I don't
Next,
know who the
he
hell
says,
he is.
yeah, next he says it gave the appearance of. That's a little bit different than, I'm sure that they're targeting me versus it appears to be. That is so,
A key word appears.
what's the word?
They have
Yes,
no proof.
thank you. There's an
It's the selective wording that they are using to stir
That's the word I'm looking
emotions
for.
and bypass
Correct.
logic. They are fully
Then he
bypassing
claims
logic.
then he claims that this is occurring with other attorneys. Where's the proof? I haven't heard anything that any attorneys have been targeted by the Trump administration. I mean, I know certainly they're going after Letitia and
Yeah, but that's
what's
because,
her name from
again,
Georgia,
they did a lot of stupid
right?
shit. That Fanny what's her face? Fanny
Fanny, yeah,
Pack.
Fanny. I almost said, yeah, Fanny Pack. I almost said Fannie Mae, but that's not it.
No,
So
Fannie Mae is also
Fanny,
another one
whatever.
that can go screw itself. I don't like their house loans. They're not the best.
I
Anyways.
know. Well, they're for school, dear. They're not house. They're
Yes,
school.
they do have
They're
a whole
school loans.
have a housing program. They
Do
do have
they
a housing
really?
yes.
Learn something new every day.
I looked into it.
But
They,
his,
yeah, they're a little bit
yeah,
on the cheapskate side.
yeah, yeah, his
Willis,
assertion
Fannie
that
Willis. There's the name. Willis.
Willis. There we go. Thank you, Blue Rose.
Crown
He's always
Target
good for
appears.
pulling out of my
Lawyers
head.
Crown Target adds appears. Lawyers speak to prevent countersue for defamation.
There you go. Now, why did
Understatement.
why the interesting piece would be, well, let's finish the video and then we'll talk
Oh,
about
it's
what
done. It's
CBC
done.
has to
It's
say.
done. It's
Oh,
done.
it's over?
Yeah.
Uh,
It was
I'm
only a
curious
2-minute
as to
video.
why they actually, yeah, I'm curious as to why they actually pulled him off the plane.
Oh, they didn't pull him off the plane.
And
They just detained him after he got off of
no,
the
when
plane
he,
returning.
well, I mean, when that's what I mean. Thank you. Why they detained him for 2 hours? Why did they want to go through his phone?
I don't know. That's a good
To me,
question.
yeah, to me there's a little bit more to this story than he's saying, but
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, you can mess with people and cause all kind of trouble, but typically they're so damn busy right now and behind in their work. I don't see them just randomly taking passengers when they come off of the plane to, say, "Here, let's spend 2 hours with you." I just don't see that.
It was
Uh,
90 minutes too. The
but
guy
I don't know.
exaggerated the time frame.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So
yeah,
this is
I
the
think
stuff that
it's
we're trying to show as propaganda.
well, it's
What
not
the
necessarily
media has to
propaganda,
say
it's being used as a
from
well,
the
yeah, it
media.
is propaganda. Yes, it technically is. I'll give it that. Yeah.
Yeah, from the media. Yeah.
Mhm.
From, I mean, we could call it a lot of things, but the key here is, and, when I look back in my younger days, and we'll talk about age as the programming develops, when I look back, in my 20s and my 30s, I believed what the news said. I believed what was written in the morning and the evening newspaper and the Sunday paper. We didn't question what was being said
Yeah.
because they were supposed to be the journalists that they were. And when you saw programs like 60 Minutes or Special Reports, and back in the day, PBS was a big one for, investigative type programming.
Oh, yeah.
You believe this shit. And then as time went on, to find out that this is nothing but a bunch of bullshit and really you need to go
Uh-huh.
for yourself. And that's what we're asking people. We're not even suggesting to you that what we're putting out is true and correct. We're trying to get information to you, hoping that it sparks interest and that you go and find out for yourself wherever you do your searching at.
Yep.
Either, excuse me, Crazy Bee, take over there for a second. I need to get something to drink.
Yeah. Again, we can't trust the media, as Dee's been saying, and you can't trust them anymore. We used to be able to. There was Mike Wallace always digging in deep, doing what he was supposed to do, doing it right. Journalists were actually journalists, not these activists with opinions instead of the actual news. Journalism has taken a nosedive, and I absolutely want nothing to do with journalism. And I
Yeah,
think it's
I
just a bunch
really,
of
yeah,
crap.
I don't know one person that I would consider a journalist
Oh,
without
yeah,
having an opinion. There's
I
not one
agree.
on either side that just reports or or attempts to gather information. I mean, back in the day, you had Bill O'Reilly. I mean, I can remember when he came on the scene hot and heavy, and everybody just clung to every word that he said. You had Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity, oh, what a disappointment.
Oh yeah,
You know,
that's
all those
another one.
opportunities that all those opportunities he had to interview J.D. Vance and President Trump. The questioning was just so poor. Probably a
Mhm.
third grader could do better. You have Laura Ingraham. She's just the same. She really is a Trump supporter. Sometimes you'll hear negative comments. And then you flip over to CNN, MSNBC, MSN, and all they're doing is bashing Trump. I had to force myself to listen to a 2-hour tariff thing that CNN was doing with a panel. I truly don't know how they survive, but whatever.
Mhm.
But with that being said, our goal as part of this podcast is we're not saying that we're right in what we're presenting. We're trying to give both sides. And then along with that, we're going to intersperse that with our own commentary. Or, you know, what I believe, what Crazy B might have an opinion. She might say yay, I might say nay, as you saw with our Women in Combat.
Mhm.
And you'll continue to see that. So that's our desire for the programming.
That's the
And with
attempt.
that, I guess that's our attempt. Are we going to succeed? Hell yeah, we are.
Eventually.
We'll get there. We might get there sooner than we think. We're
One
drawing
day
down
at a
some good
time,
numbers.
right?
So. Yes, and speaking of which, I may have forgotten this last week, or on Tuesday. We truly need people to like, follow, and preferably subscribe. That really helps the YouTube and Rumble algorithms. You cannot believe what a difference it makes. We're pulling down some great numbers, and for the minuscule amount, and I understand some people don't want to be, do a like or a follow, but if you can, please like and follow. Like right now, here, we'll take a pause. We'll do a pause and everybody go out and give us a like or a follow. I'll give you 5 seconds. That's all you need.
And I know some
And
people out there, especially because of the stuff that we cover, they're like me. They
mhm,
don't like to be tracked. They don't want an account linked to their name, so they can't
right,
like and follow. But they will
we
definitely
understand that.
have fun with this.
Right. But out of the numbers that we've been pulling down, I think our numbers could be just a little bit higher,
Oh
don't
yeah.
you?
Well, we're definitely got the views. The people viewing, that
Right.
number is really pretty. But there's not a lot of comments in afterwards, and I don't blame you guys. But any feedback is really
Uh,
appreciated, and I do read the
yeah.
comments after the
Right.
videos if anyone leaves a comment afterwards. And the likes really help big time. I'm telling you, the
Mhm.
likes and the follows. And if you
Right.
view just sitting and tolerating us for more than 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes,
Right.
yeah, it counts as a view, but the longer you watch, the more it gets pushed out. And
Right.
I mean, 2 hours is a bit of a lengthy time, I get it, but it'd be nice. It would be nice if people could
Right.
hang on.
And
Or
right. And the comments are just the cherry on top, but the most important thing is the like and the follow, because that's what pushes the algorithm up the chain so that we can be seen. So that's our request for today. And with that, I guess now, hold on 1 second. Let me just get this out. With my doctoral thesis on Economic Week, I we just might drag this puppy into next week the way we have things planned. So,
well,
you
it's
know,
not my fault you felt we had to do a doctorate thesis
I
level coverage.
I know. It is funny though now I'm like, "Oh my god." They're going to kill me at the end of week 2. And you all will be tested, just so you know.
She's got a pop quiz at the end.
At the end, there'll be a pop quiz, so pay attention. All right, Crazy Bee. I'm going to finish my soup and shut up. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw on, where is it? This one. And it's the first video of how the economy works. So we're going to watch this quick little video. It's about 2 minutes long. And then we're going to jump into some other videos that just kind of go a little bit deeper than what I covered on the slideshow for the PowerPoint.
I lied. I'm not going to shut up. So you're going to tell me that in 2 minutes, we're going to explain the entire economy of these.
Hey, they might be a squirrel on meth and coffee at the same time.
Gotcha. Okay, go ahead.
Let's see how this goes.
There's a lot of confusion about how the economy really works. So here's a 3-minute lesson to clear things up. We find ourselves on an island with 4 people on it. On this island, they use rare shells as money to make purchases. Each person has their own occupation. There's a farmer, a builder, a clothes maker, and a fisherman. The same as any other economy, but simple so we can see how things work. When the builder wants a fish for dinner, he buys one with a shell. The fisherman may need a new shirt, so takes that same shell and buys a shirt. The clothes maker may want some tomatoes, so buys them from the farmer with the same shell. The farmer now needs a new room on her hut, so gives the shell to the builder in exchange for his work. Notice what happens here. The builder has the same shell he started with. The money situation has not changed, but also notice everyone got what they wanted. Everyone is richer or better off, even though they don't have any more money. Things work this way on the island until one day thousands of shells wash up on the beach. The islanders are excited and gathered them by their huts. They all feel rich because they have lots of money. But when the builder tries to exchange a shell for some tomatoes, the farmer doesn't want the shell. Neither do the others because they all have enough. No one needs any more, so the shells become worthless. The only thing that remains valuable is the product or service each one has to trade. They will still be able to trade what they make or do, but the shells are worthless. Why? Because wealth is not found in money. Money's just a point system to keep track of who owes who value. Wealth is created when we create valuable products or services to trade. Wealth is created by creating value. We can have all the money we want, but if no one is making valuable products or services to buy, our money is worthless. Whether you live on an island or a country of millions, this principle never changes. Wealth is always created by creating value. The wealth of an individual, community, or country depends on the value it can create. To learn 6 more principles that will help you create your own value, visit growyourown.economy.com or get the book, Grow Your Own Economy.
I don't know anything about this product, so we're going to pause it here. I don't know. And hi, MJ. So yeah.
Nice to see you, MJ.
So that's just the very basic of what an economy is and how it works. Really simple
So
concept.
what you're saying is, yeah, it is, but it explains a lot to people with how Biden flooded the market
and
with,
ruined it.
All of the cash and ruined everything. So now cash is worthless, and what do we have to trade, right?
Bingo. So next video that we have is the different types of economies that are out there.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. We are absolutely blown away at the recent support of the channel. We just gained our 100th everyone who's economics, and we'll be providing an example of each of them.
I forgot to edit it.
These different types of economies can be seen throughout the world today, and really look at who controls the nation's factors of production. If you need a quick refresher on the 4 factors of production, we'll link the video to it here. With that said, let's get into things. In introductory economics, you're going to learn about 4 types of economies: traditional, command, market, and mixed. Traditional economies exist where families are responsible for production of the goods and services that they need. Many of the first economies ever were like this, as tribes used hunter-gatherer methods to provide for their family. This is more or less a decentralized everyone for themselves economy, where you reap the rewards that you sow yourself. and so therefore you have full control over the necessary factors of production. This type of economy, though very popular thousands of years ago, still exists in some rare culture today, notably some Native American and African tribal groups. The second type of economy is called command economy. In this economy, all production decisions are made by a small group of political leaders whose decisions are enforced throughout the entire economy or nation. All of the factors of production are owned by the government, and therefore the government sets all prices on.
So this is a nice way of describing a communist socialist economy.
I was just going to say, yep.
They
North
changed up
Korea,
the
China.
wording.
Yep, Russia.
So, okay, communist economy.
On goods in this type of economy. Real-life examples of such economies are North Korea and Cuba. The third economy is the one that's most considered and used in economics, and that is the market economy. In this type of economy, many individuals make independent production decisions in a free marketplace. It is also known as free enterprise and follows the supply and demand system. Remember not to confuse the market economy with different types of markets, such as perfect competition, monopolies, or oligopolies, as they're not quite the same thing. In the future, we will upload videos on each of these market types and the implications that each of them have on supply and demand. A real-life example of the market economy is the United States, though they could technically be classified under the final economy type as well. Speaking of which, the fourth and final economy type that you learn about in economics is called a mixed economy. As you may have inferred, very few pure economic systems exist today for two reasons. One, no single economic system is objectively the best, and therefore, number two, economic decisions.
As we know with Bidenomics, that is far from the best.
That would be the fifth economy.
No, that's the joke economy.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I will sacrifice for crazy. Oh, for using YouTube. Okay, I got it. Now that comment makes sense. That you're using YouTube to give us the like and the follow and keeping an eye on the comments. Thank you. I do appreciate it, JJ. All right, let's hit play.
Decision makers try to integrate the best elements of each other type into their own unique system. An example of a mixed economy is Canada. The Canadian economy tries to integrate the best features of all three other types of economic systems. It allows for state-owned or crown land, which represents elements of the command economy, but it also allows land to be privately owned, which represents market economy. Canada offers many government-run social programs, again a feature of the command economy, but it also has plenty of free enterprise in other areas, which is market.
But their socialist programs are bombing the crap out of them. Not the literal term, like bottoming it out.
Right.
Bad.
Exactly. Their healthcare system leaves a lot to be desired. A lot.
Oh, not just healthcare, other things too. But yes,
I know, but healthcare is like a huge major.
Yeah. Yes, it really is. And these people who are pushing it, it's like, y'all just don't understand. And people have been complaining about it, but then you get the ones who want to keep lying and propagating the propaganda. And they're like, oh, it's not that bad. That's only a few people. No, it's like everybody. Mm-hmm. Your BS is gone.
Well, and now that we are no longer the close partners that we were with them, and how we've destroyed what they've had, wonder what how things are gonna turn out.
Oh, I have a feeling they're gonna cave soon.
Mm-hmm.
But that's for later in the episode if we get to that part today.
Right.
All right. Let's get through this last minute.
I wouldn't hold my breath. Okay.
Economy. Growing your own food and bartering is also becoming a growing practice in Canada, which demonstrates the traditional economy as well. So there we go. Now you're familiar with the 4 types of economies that you learn about in introductory economics. If you like this video and are...
Okay, the link to the video will be in the description. So y'all can catch that or the rest of it or more of their videos if you so choose down the line.
Is that out of that from Canada? Is that a Canadian?
I don't know. I didn't dig too deep into them. It's just one of those things that's like, So
that's for So you're trying to sneak in stuff for your doctoral
I'm not doing
program?
a
Is that what you're
doctoral
saying?
thesis on anything.
Okay, I just am curious,
Now we're
trying
going
to
to
follow.
learn about micro and macroeconomics. These
Yes,
are the
and
next level down.
if you recall, go to our first episode, and you'll see the PowerPoint presentation that we put together that
Mhm.
explains all of the areas that our videos, news articles, and commentaries correlate to.
Yep. All right, let's hit play.
Micro and macroeconomics. What are they? What's the difference? And what are their uses? Together, economics is the study of how scarce or finite resources are allocated for production, distribution, and consumption, both individually and collectively. However, economics is traditionally split into two different but interconnected areas, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics is concerned with how individuals and businesses allocate resources and set prices for goods and services. The prefix micro indicates a small or individual scale. Microeconomics takes a bottom-up approach. It looks at how individual decisions affect specific economic relationships and systems. It is used by businesses to set prices and levels of supply. Conversely, macroeconomics looks at the economy as a whole, either at a national, regional, or global level. The prefix macro indicating a large or collective scope. Macroeconomics takes a top-down approach. It looks at how economic systems affect the people living within them. Macroeconomics is used by governments and central banks to explore broader economic trends and track variables like inflation and unemployment. When economics is discussed in the media, it is normally macroeconomic questions being debated. Macroeconomics also tends to be more hotly contested than the more mathematical microeconomics. Micro and macro are normally taught separately. If you cannot take micro and macro classes side by side, students are advised to start with microeconomics first. Start small before going big. However, the two are interdependent and complement one another. You cannot understand the small without some understanding of the whole, nor the large without addressing the small. In recent years, the links between microeconomic theory and macroeconomics have been subject to intense debate. The so-called micro foundations of macroeconomics looks for individual behavioral grounds studied within microeconomics to apply to macroeconomic analysis in the aggregate. A caveat to bear in mind is that microeconomic assumptions about individual behavior can sometimes be wrong. If this is the case, then it will distort the macroeconomic models that depend on the same assumptions. Although the distinction between micro and macroeconomics can be useful to simplify economics teaching, in practice it is vital to integrate how the two are used in conjunction. Economics is the career site for economists. We support your journey from finding degree programs and scholarships right through to getting top senior jobs in academia and industry. Check out our website for the latest opportunities in economics and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more economics content.
Okay, so now we understand the difference between macro and micro economics.
You mean big and little?
Yeah, the bigger economy, which is usually the federal level type stuff, and the micro is your local stuff.
Mm-hmm. So should there be an in-betweener for your state?
I think that falls under micro.
Okay.
Next, we're going to
understand if we should come up with... Go ahead.
What are we going to call it? That's just economics because it's not micro or macro. It's just in the middle.
That's what I'm thinking. We should come up with a third term. But whatever. Go ahead.
Next,
causing trouble. I'm working on my thesis. I need all the help I could get.
I get it. So actually, nope, this can't be the next video. Next one, I actually am going to have to share from the website. I do apologize because it's going to, I didn't get a chance to download
everybody that's in the chat, just remember that you'll be in the ground, coming in on the ground floor. that if we ever get elevated up to floor 1, 2, or 3, just remember you've been along with us through these growing pains, and you'll get to say, I remember them when they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And actually, they still don't. And they still don't, right?
Yeah. Macro can be thought of as the policy level where micro is application to real circumstances. Interesting. That's a good way to word it, too. That's probably a better way of explaining it. More
That
simplified.
definitely is, that's definitely thesis language. So
Yeah.
I'll take that. Thank you, Art.
All right. This next video is, what is the Federal Reserve?
And by the way, I think we did preface this Tuesday, but we'll say it again, and we may have said it earlier. We really are like, I don't want to say clueless, but we are not experts. Let's put it that way.
We are far from experts in this. That's why we're sharing this stuff with you.
Correct. Right.
We're learning
at the
together.
Basic of the base. That's correct. We're at the basic of the basics and at the basics, and we'll leave it at that.
All right, let me hit play.
You may have heard of the Federal Reserve, or the Fed. But what is it? And how does it affect you? The Federal Reserve is the central bank of the United States, and even though it acts as an independent agency, it's still part of the federal government. Some people call it the bank for banks. Their goal is to encourage high employment and economic growth while also keeping inflation under control. To accomplish this outcome, the Fed has a number of tools it can use, but one key tool is the control over interest rates, which is the cost of borrowing money. The same way people borrow money from banks, banks need to borrow money from somewhere as well. That's where the Fed comes in. And when the banks borrow money from the Fed gets to decide what interest rate banks will pay on their loans. When the Fed raises or lowers interest rates for banks, the rate that banks charge consumers for everything including credit cards, auto loans, and home mortgages are affected. But how does this impact the economy? If the economy is not doing well, the Fed will likely lower interest rates to encourage business expansion and increase consumer spending, which can help kickstart a sluggish economy. And if an economy is growing too fast and inflation goes up, the Fed can increase rates so growth can be slowed and stabilized. These decisions, along with other policy choices, are made by 12 leaders within the Fed called the Federal Open Market Committee. The Federal Open
I don't trust these people. I don't know their names. We don't know who's running it. This is, again, a whole group of people.
Well, you can't.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say they're not elected. They're
appointed.
They're hired by, they're appointed, hired by the president. So you figure every potentially 4 years they could change, and I don't like the control that they have. Especially now, when you see what interest rates are, when you see how they permitted the market to be flooded with all of the money that it did.
Yeah.
So this whole bullshit that they control things, they watch out for the economy. I say I'm calling bullshit on it.
I don't trust them. I really don't trust this kind of stuff. Is there a political motivation? Is there political bias? Is there all kinds of stuff? What if they don't like a company and so they intentionally do, or they get mad at society? So they're like, you know what? Screw you. Watch this.
The last person in there was Janet Yellen. Has anybody seen her at any of the congressional hearings?
I have. I've seen her get her butt torn apart.
Well, that, and it's lucky she could walk and talk at the same time. And she is not articulate in anything that she says. Her explanations are poor.
She should have never been in
charge. I really have no idea what. She never, ever. But she was a Biden appointee who was told what to do, and she did it. So how could that agency be independent and look out for the best interest of the country when that is not what occurred? And look at where we're at today.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it fascinating. Well, not fascinating, but I find it very interesting that Trump only gets in the beginning of January. Here we're at the end of April, and people are still blaming
We're at the
him for the
beginning of
price of
April.
eggs. Well, I say
About
mid-April.
halfway.
That would be mid, half mid. I mean, now
It's
we're
better
going to
than
argue
end.
about. Here we go. Make it number 4 today, Crazy B.
Well,
No,
Art says the
if
bank
she
presidents are known and they give speeches on a pretty regular basis. I don't recall seeing any, and they are appointed to office by the president. So I've never really paid attention. The
I've
only one
never
I know is
seen
Janet
yeah,
Yellen, and I know she's a dumbass. And wasn't there
yeah,
Jerome Powell? He was someone important
yes,
too.
yes. I've seen them at the congressional hearings, but I've never seen them give, and I'm sure they do, just like any other agency, but I've never actually, that's not on my radar to go listen to that. Look up Green Speak from the, oh yeah,
Alan
Alan
Greenspan.
Greenspan, that's right.
I
Yeah,
do
his
not.
name's
That's probably
familiar
before
now that,
me.
because you're just so young.
I'm not young. Kidding. I'm almost old.
Well, well, almost. What are you saying? Like my age? We'll get there. Yeah. Here we go. It's going to be on there, Crazy B. No, I don't go out specifically to look at, oh, when's the Federal Reserve going to have a meeting? I want to listen to that one. But in the congressional hearings, in this case, Janet Yellen in particular, she was terrible. It was really bad.
No, I heard her BS speech about why we need to give more money to other countries, and I just wanted to choke her out.
It was
I
never,
know I
yeah, it
can't,
was never,
but but for the sake of
yeah, it was,
everything, just I want to cover my ass. I am bedbound. I can't go do any harm to anybody unless they come here to me. So she would have to come to my home and start some shit in order for me to do anything. So just when I say it, it is figurative speech, not literal. For the AI that's going to flag me for this shit later.
right. And I'm semi there, so if I really wanted to, I probably could call an Uber and, maybe, but I wouldn't. She's not worth my time. There would be other fish to fry. But this in particular, what they were designed to do and protect the economy, I think they've been used as political pawns. And I have yet to see for the last 2 candidates that were in office really look out for the American people. Interest rates skyrocketed for home, borrowing money for a home, for a car. One thing I'd really like Congress to take a look at is credit card interest rates. Not that the Federal Reserve has anything to do with that, but just interest in general. Things that are so just outrageous that in this case with Janet Yellen, and I do know the name of the guy that replaced her, but I cannot think of his name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
He's been on TV. Is that Scott? Scott begins with a B.
Hold on. Who's head of the Fed? Who's running the Fed committee?
I think. Yeah, is it Fed? Fed. Is it Scott? Is it begins with a B? Scott.
Hold on. Oh no, it's still Jerome Powell.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Trump
Jerome Powell,
back.
Philip Jefferson, Michelle Bowman. Hold on, there's more, but I don't know. Who is the current federal committee? Jerome Powell, Philip N. Jefferson, Michael Barr, Michelle Bowman, Lisa Cook, Adriana Kugler, Christopher Waller, and Tom Barkin.
Okay. Can you drop that entire?
I can't. I can only screenshot it. I don't have a link. It was just something that popped up.
Okay. I think that's Scott. I'm thinking of maybe the Secretary of Treasury. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. But so Jerome Powell is back then. Right? Oh, don't even. Oh yeah, don't even bring up the Black Widow. Yeah.
I
We
don't
need to.
like I have arachnophobia, so that's even funnier to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's very funny.
Sorry. But, yeah, I don't know who's all in charge of what. Um, everything is based on the value buying power of the dollar,
No, right.
which has
The
actually gone down extremely low since the Fed came into,
right,
existence.
and cut it right.
It just went poof down the drain.
Mhm. Mhm.
But let me hit
Go
play
ahead.
so we can get through this last minute.
Open Market Committee is made up of the Fed chairman, who is appointed by the president, the Fed Board of Governors, and a rotating group of regional Federal Reserve Bank presidents. The decisions made at the Fed are largely isolated from political pressure because,
Bull crap.
1, members of the Board of Governors serve fixed terms. 2, the Fed is not held hostage by congressional funding. And 3, the authority given to the President of the United States to remove a member from office for just cause has rarely been used. The Federal Reserve plays a major role in the U.S., and understanding how it operates can be beneficial when trying to understand broader economic policy. To learn more about the Federal Reserve and how it influences the economy, visit informationstation.org.
Alrighty. No point doing the last 2 seconds, but yeah, it's I'm not a fan of the Federal Reserve. I don't like that they have control over everything, and they have devalued our dollar drastically in God knows how long. I mean, what it came into what 1913 is when the Federal Reserve came in.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, I'm not a fan of them, and that's where Ron Paul and Ross Perot actually got me to liking them. And I didn't even really pay attention to Ross Perot back in the day. And Ron Paul was even before I was able to vote, but would totally have voted for him if I was
Is
allowed
that a
to.
young? Is that a young reference again?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
But just going to point out that, yeah, the Federal Reserve seems to be causing more headache than it is helping.
Like most government agencies, did
Yeah,
you say?
kind of like most. I would say like most.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
so much for political influence. Political influence, my ass. Oh, they can't be influenced. Watch
Right.
this.
Right.
Um, the next video kind of goes into what the GDP, what causes the GDP to do its thing. It's called gross domestic product, or GDP. It is a 7-minute long video, so buckle in. And mind you, I've still got articles and stuff, so if we don't get through all of this today, no big deal. We've got plenty more to go. And we'll just carry this into a part 3 for
Yeah,
Friday.
because remember, economics is the thesis. So
Oh no, yeah. Wait, tomorrow is Thursday.
no, today is Thursday,
Today is Thursday? I could have swore today was
isn't it?
Wednesday. Yeah, today's
Let me
Thursday,
look.
so Friday,
Yeah.
yeah. So Friday would be when we finish it off or start to. My daughter's
Well, I
coming into
thought.
Shadowbox.
Yeah, I thought we were going to.
Bless you.
Well, no, that's fine. That's fine. If we could finish up tomorrow, that would be good.
Or
And
the
then
day
Sunday,
after, or the day
yeah,
after. We'll
yeah,
figure it
and we
out
could
when we
finish.
run out of stuff
Yeah.
to talk about.
Well, we could finish up on Sunday, and then Sunday will be review the week and the current events. I have some other details and other things that we didn't get to. So,
Oh, good question.
what's
You
that?
know, I haven't really thought too much on this, and I'm gonna have to. Okay, but that's a really long and complicated discussion. What would you like to see controlling the money? Hmm, that's an interesting
What,
one.
what or who?
Yeah, that's a better one. What or who?
Who? Yeah, what and or who?
Now, if the
I
Fed
mean, real.
wasn't
If the Fed
decreasing the value, but when we were on a gold-backed dollar, the money had more value. So,
correct.
is it not feasible and practical to say, let's go back to the gold-backed dollar.
Hmm.
Oh, they're telling me tomorrow,
Good
Friday. I'll take either. No, but yeah, thinking about this, 1971, coming off of the gold standard, killed the dollar value. In the 70s, the dollar was worth 85 out of 90 cents on the dollar. Today, it's worth 10/15 of a cent on the dollar. And see, that's again, I think we should maybe go back to gold backed. I
Mm-hmm.
really think, and I've looked into, I mean,
With
I have kind of
with
tampered with looking into this before, but really, that's the only thing I can come up with. Why did
which
Nixon
country has
take?
got yeah,
I
and which
don't
country has
remember.
been buying all the gold?
China.
Country. How'd you guess? You
I
got
know.
that right.
I cannot remember why Nixon did it. I don't think they even taught us in school, and I don't think I've even looked into
I
it. That's
don't
a very good
yeah,
question.
I haven't
Okay,
yeah,
so
I
time
don't
to Google. Time to Google. Let's do this.
one moment, please. Technical support is at work. We need to have some do 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 la 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 la. I'm not a singer at all, so anybody want to contribute to
Do
the
do 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 do
I
do.
think that's a copyright, so stop.
Oh,
We'll get in trouble for that, yeah.
um,
Mhm.
according to this, um,
Now, is this AI generated
that's
comment
what I'm
or
looking for, the actual ones.
thank you.
The US stopped backing currency trade with gold because the world economy and the volume of trading had become so large that it became impractical to manage it using a fixed amount of gold. I don't know if that's is that
Why?
what they said
That's
and
a
we're supposed to believe it, or is there any kind of proof to back this up? Hold on. Because our dollar was crap and the creditors started demanding payments in gold, which just added to inflation.
mm,
That's not the way they made it sound in the
no.
article that I just kind of got a summary from.
Could you throw the article into the
I can. Oh no, nope, that was not a really good article. Actually, I was that.
okay.
Okay, here, his Office of the Historian.
There
All
you go.
right, where are we? I can. In 71, it was known as the Nixon shock. I see comments. Nixon wanted to get in on that action. I'm not a crook. Yeah, because we were printing more dollars than we had gold. France wanted their gold back for our dollars. Okay, so basically we're ripping off the world and not wanting to pay back our debt.
Right. Like we are now?
Well, actually, we paying the world a bunch of stuff and not getting any money back. But I will drop this
Well
article
well
in the
then did
description.
well are you saying we don't owe those trillions of dollars?
Well, we're sure paying out more than we're paying back. We're
True.
sending our payments to the wrong places.
I agree. I
Um,
agree. Oh, it's cold in here.
Let me put this under the Federal Reserve topic marker. Oh, come on, hands.
While you're doing that, we appreciate everybody joining us today. And hopefully you're enjoying the content. And if you don't, well,
Hopefully, you're at least laughing at us.
yeah,
So, okay, there was reason to do it, and it was mostly because we, again, were printing more money than we actually could afford to print. So, same problem,
that we
decades
have today.
apart, but
Yep,
it's far worse now because of the fiat money, basically, the fake money that
right.
we're using. Interesting. I learned a little bit new. When the old dollar came off the gold standard, it created the fiat currency, which I just spoke about. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like it. It's a big
No, it's
subject for a different place. It's complicated and most really don't understand it. And that's true. I barely understand it. That's why I'm watching this stuff, trying to learn a little bit more. I
right.
understand the bare basics of the economics. I do not want to ever portray
Oh,
myself as an
yeah,
expert.
yeah, and I could not imagine trying to figure this out from a local to a state to a federal to
But hopefully this will
global.
get people digging in deeper and try to come up with some solutions.
Uh, I don't know. I would hope so, but I don't know about that because it is kind of on the boring side
Well,
of
some
it's
people
not.
find it boring, other
I
people find
know,
it fascinating. I'm
I know
learning a
some
lot
do.
today, especially from the people who lived through those eras and are filling me in.
Are you bringing up age again?
To put
Because if
new
you
money in the
continue,
system, they have to sell bonds.
right,
Okay. And I do
right,
have things on stocks and bonds and how they impact the market and how they work together or
right.
how they, how it works. I do have some articles on that. And I thought I had a video, but I don't know where the hell the video went. So, we may have to cover that tomorrow, but I do have quite a bit on things that impact the economy. Um
Wait, you do or we do?
well,
Do
it's
I
stuff
have to
I
come up with
found.
more?
No,
Oh,
this is
so
all
I have to
stuff I
come up with.
found and you
Oh,
found. I'm sorry, even the stuff you found. I mean, talking from the list that I'm looking at of what we need to cover.
I see. I'm
I
just
apologize.
checking.
I don't mean to make it sound that way.
No, but I'm just, hey, I'm still on the "you're younger" thing that you just made a comment again about.
I,
So you're not even,
okay,
yeah,
you got
we're
to
gonna
remember,
have
I
this
was born in the Reagan administration, but I
whatever.
study history, so it interests
Yeah,
me to learn new things.
yeah,
Economics was
and I
30
was
years
alive when you
ago.
got shot.
And he says economics was 30 years ago or more for me, but there are no simple answers. Exactly. I absolutely agree with
Right.
that.
It's so, and I think when you get the differences of opinion, that it doesn't matter who you talk to. In fact, that was one of my comments I wanted to make earlier of what Trump has been doing, whether successfully or not.
Mhm.
He's just not relying on one person to get his messaging out about tariffs. And we'll talk about tariffs later, but he is using everybody at his disposal, from the press secretary to his chief of staff
And
to
even the bad talk about it is
yes,
dragging attention to it. So,
yes,
good or bad, rival or friend talking about this
right,
is bringing attention to his tariffs.
exactly. So he's really playing either smart or bad, whatever you think of it. It's a different play than we've seen in the past.
Yes.
Uh, so we'll have a lot more on that as we go.
Yeah.
But I think he's probably the first president that I've seen with respect to the Federal Reserve. For the most part, I'd say that they all kind of went along the same path. You didn't see too much really.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think of how far back some of this went. I don't know. I guess every administration you could probably find fault with it,
Oh, yeah.
right? We can,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Definitely.
I mean,
And
we'll
hindsight's
date our
2020.
yeah, yeah. I'll date myself to some respect. I was married in 1982, and the country at that time was similar to where we're at right now,
Mhm.
meaning from a financial standpoint, the cost of goods, interest rates, how much it costs to get a new car, how much a mortgage costs, the price
Mhm.
of, when I had my kids later on in the 80s, the pack of diapers, the cost of eggs,
Yep.
kind of correlates where we're at today. So my son, who just had JJ, and my other grandson's 9, they're complaining, oh my God, look at the cost of formula, look at the cost of this. And I have said, you guys are exactly where me and daddy were at the same time. So I do believe it's cyclical, that, we see good times, we see bad times. Knock on wood, we don't see another depression.
Oh God,
Some
please.
people say we're in a recession already. Yeah, some people say we're in a recession already, or a recession, we're headed because of how Trump is. Uh, I don't know. All I can go by what I have witnessed and what I've experienced over the years of how things have been with each of the presidents. And that's one reason why I don't like this every 4-year bull crap, because turnover is just too much. It happens too quick, and just by the time you think things are settling down, boom, it gets blown up again, and we got to start over again. And that's why I'm so hep on Trump's in already. Let him do his thing, and we need to be commenting on 2026 and 2028, who's coming in next, because we don't want at least I don't want to see a Democrat come into the White House and pull a Joe Biden and undo everything that we hopefully will
Yeah.
have done in a positive manner,
And
right?
let's also be
So,
cautious of the smooth talking Democrats like Obama, who could win people over
mhm,
because they say what that needs to be said, but then, like many presidents and politicians, they do what the hell they want.
right. And many people will tell you that
Mhm.
Obama came in as a smooth operator. He said what you wanted to hear. He could articulate his words, but yet look at his policies and what he did. He was the deporter in chief, has become
Um,
a beauty contest. Well, I don't
we
know
haven't
about that,
elected a
Art, because
qualified candidate in
yeah,
decades. I actually kind of
exactly.
agree.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
It's
Yeah,
just
and I
all
don't know if
messed
it's a
up.
beauty contest. Yeah.
It's the
So I'm all
concept of, who
yes,
talks the
I
best.
understand. Exactly. So I'm all for this term limit stuff, but I'm even willing to say the presidency's a 6-year term. Then things could get situated, settled down, and then that's it. They don't get to run for reelection. There's no 8 years. Let them in 6 years, do what they have to. Because one of the things that happens with any of the politicians, soon as they get into office, what do? What's the very first thing, one of the
They
things they
undo what
do?
the last president did.
That, and what else? They
Cause a
start to
lot of
campaign
headache.
for their next but they start to campaign for their next run, whether it's the presidency or in Congress. In the House of Representatives, you're running every 2 years. So as soon as you get elected, you got to start to, plan for corruption. You're right, MJ. It's corruption.
Mhm.
So we really need to look at that. But in order to do that, we, the people, might want that. But how do we get that type of legislation passed? And I know there's been term limits, recommended. I believe there's a couple bills that had been suggested, but I don't think they've gone anywhere to my knowledge. But
Yeah.
anyway, I digress. There we go. I got off on a tangent. I apologize, but
You're
it's
allowed
some of
to.
the stuff that it's the stuff that I worry about for the future of the country, for, my grandchildren in particular, knowing that I'm not going to be around to protect them forever. And, where are we going? And things, in my opinion, are bad enough right now that, I'd like to see some significant changes. That's all.
Oh, I think we all would at this point. Obama was
Yeah.
probably the best demagogue we've
Demagogue.
seen, but that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
benefit the country. Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I was just got into it a little bit with someone on X, but had to quit till I start feeling better. They are adamant that I don't understand the Affordable Care Act, even though I worked in medicine and have been receiving insurance out of before and after Affordable Care Act. They're like, well, with all your pre-existing conditions, back in before Affordable Care Act, you wouldn't have gotten insurance. But I did. Private insurance and through work multiple times. It's funny how that happens.
Well, one, here's what's interesting, and and people look at it in your own state. Call up Obamacare and then go to your private carrier, such as Blue Cross, Blue Shield, or whatever the name of your other companies are. Find out what the individual price would be if you dealt directly with the insurance company.
It's the same.
Then go back and look at the price on Obamacare. It is the exact same dollar amount. The only difference would be is if you qualify, some monies would come off based on your income. Not that much. But
Not
if
much
you're
at
the
all.
average American, that's right. If you're the average American, and I'm an HR person, so I know this stuff inside and out, it is the exact same amount of money. And in fact, I was just bitching to Crazy B. My husband's individual policy, he's a small business owner. His health premium went up from $640 some a month to $790 some per month. And the plan sucks. There's a $65 copay just to see the doctor. There's copays for every single procedure that you could probably deal with. So unless you're eligible for Medicaid, Medicare, you're pretty much going to be paying the same amount of money on Obamacare that you would be with the individual carrier.
And
so I don't know
most
what
people, like in my case, where we're the middle class range of the financial spectrum, and they'll help us, but not enough to make it worthwhile. We can get
right. You still
assistance,
can't afford it.
but still can't
Right.
afford
But
it.
you still can't afford it. Right.
So still no insurance. And if it was
Right.
under the still Obama laws, we'd be billed $3,000 each person every year out of our tax return when tax time comes around, because we wouldn't have the insurance that we couldn't afford,
Right.
even though Obama demanded we have it. And again, this is messed
Right.
up, and it's all because of regulations that the government put into place, the insurance companies taking advantage of those regulations, and everyone getting screwed in the end.
Right. And the other thing you need to realize is the insurance companies are never going to lose money. They are going to make up the
Never.
money one way or another. So,
Yep.
Unfortunately, one of the reasons that I'll tell you for the high increase on people's insurance rates is due to what? Why are insurance rates high?
Currently, there's the insurance fraud and the immigrants that we're paying for.
Correct. Illegal alien immigration.
And people
We're
who are
paying
stealing
for
other people's insurance coverage. Bureaucracy. Exactly, Crown
So that's
Target.
yeah, that's what DOGE is trying to filter out.
And we
You know,
do
he
have,
just
we're
kicked
going to be
out
having a Doge week where we go through and
right,
cover all the different
right,
things that they've been finding.
right. But the amount of illegals, there's over, what's the estimate, 35 million people in the country that are
Yeah.
probably a large majority for the women that come into the country that are pregnant, that are hoping that their children will become American. That
Anchor
whole
babies.
pregnancy, right, the anchor babies, that pregnancy from top to bottom when she arrives is being paid for by the American taxpayer.
Yep.
And that cost usually amounts to, I don't know, what, 25,000, maybe more,
Yeah.
depending on what happens. And
Yep.
again, that insurance company is not going to lose the money, so the costs get bore through the rest of who's working.
And this
And
all
that's one of the
impacts our economy. It does. I want to point that out. This is all impacting our pockets and what we can buy and when we can buy it. Just going to point that out because I know we're almost seeming to get off topic, but it does cycle back to, it impacts us. It comes out of our paychecks. It comes out of our taxes. It comes out of everything we buy, everything we do. All that money is eventually going to go back to some socialist BS program that we don't need. It's just hurting.
Right. If you would change the word cycle to circle back instead of cycle back, I could have called you circle back Saki, but
Nope,
you didn't go there. So,
because I
okay,
don't want to be associated with that redheaded. Never mind. Words I can't use on public.
okay,
Prof-
okay.
yeah, you get where I'm going. Anyways,
But
we
you
should get.
see, this is how stuff is unplanned, unfiltered, unplanned, and whatever,
Yep.
right? Go
MJ's got a
ahead.
point. Centralized economy, profit over people, and government subsidies. Yep.
hmm And just with that, and I don't know how far in depth we're actually going, but just use the price of eggs, for example. There's a
That
whole
was on
cyclical
purpose.
story that, yeah, there's a
Sorry.
whole story. I know.
I'm not going to get
There's
us
a
kicked
whole
off of
story
here.
about, you
Go
promise?
ahead. Go ahead.
For today, right? There's a whole story of how it's a fascinating story on how eggs are produced, what is planned from the time they're in the hatchery, all the time, and for how long eggs are permitted to sit in a carton till they're
hmm
sold to the consumer, and how pricing works. So think about when we're talking about the economy, every little item that you pick up. You're in the gas station and you stop and grab a Coke or a Pepsi, or you pick up a candy bar or a pack of gum. There's all types of factors that go into that. In fact, I was thinking the other day, did our supply chain issues ever get corrected from
I
the COVID
believe
situation?
I
I don't
believe
know.
they did, but not 100%. We're still getting the after effect because obviously with that
I
long of a
see.
backup, it's going to
Yeah.
be a problem.
So there's issues of if AI trucks take over from the truckers, what is that going to do to the cost of goods? There's so much that goes into this. We could probably spend a year on this and still not touch upon it. There are people that spend their lives on this.
I know. I see the comment from JJ. I know. We're trying to stay on as many platforms as possible, so I have to not use
Right,
words I would normally call people. Um, just because some people only watch us on YouTube, others only watch us on Rumble.
right.
So I've got
Mm.
to be careful for that reason, which is why I won't explain why the egg thing was on purpose, because well, that'll get me in trouble. Even though
Well,
I
not only
use
eggs,
the
but
WHO
well,
and
it
the
all
CDC
depends.
websites.
It all depends on what you're saying. Did the chicken or the egg come first? Because the chickens, that's a whole nother story. The eggs are a story and so are the chickens, but that's another story
Yeah.
we
So,
could save for another day. But
but
anyway, go
yeah,
ahead.
I digress. I was gonna say, let's get back to
Yeah,
the video.
by the way, where were we? I don't even know. We might have to go back a little bit because I'm lost. All I
Um,
see is this
yeah,
person on the screen. I was
I
going to
know.
use another word, but
Yeah, no, this is
you better click back a couple seconds.
I haven't even started it. It's still at
Oh,
0.
this is the beginning. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
we've
funny.
never even started.
Okay.
I
Okay, go
totally
ahead.
thank you, MJ.
Thanks, MJ.
That's still much nicer than I would have used.
Hmm. I think she had another word in front of her, MJ.
Oh, I've got thunderstorms rolling through. So yeah, we got to get through this video and other stuff. Yes.
Yeah, because if we
Yes.
ever wait, yeah, if we ever crash and go down, it's all because well,
No,
once I
yours
learn
will
the
still be
system,
up. Yours will still be up.
right.
The studio
That's
will
if I
still be
learn
up.
it,
But
right.
I will be kicked out.
But
Just
it's
call me
great,
on my phone and I'll talk you through how to end everything.
right? Okay.
Yep.
Hey, it's going to be goodbye, off, and there we go. So that you don't have to walk me through it. But yeah, if anything ever happens, crazy bee disappears, a thunderstorm went through.
Yes.
All right,
but
go ahead, start it.
I got to get my phone on charge, actually. I'm at 28%. So while I still have electricity, I'm going to get my phone charging. All right, here we go. Let's hit play.
He knows a lot about all kinds of stuff. Professor Dave explains.
Okay.
In macroeconomics, the most common way economists and policymakers measure the health of an overall
Oh, this is on
economy is by
GDP.
examining gross domestic product, or
Right.
GDP.
That's
Gross means total, domestic means within a country's borders, and product means the value of all
You
goods and
should probably
services
have this
produced.
written down
However,
somewhere what
that's
the
a bit of an
topic is.
oversimplification, so let's look at the complete definition. Gross
That's
domestic
funny
product
as
is the
hell.
value of all final goods and services produced within a country's borders in a given year. Note the emphasis on final and in a given year. Final goods are also called finished goods. A final good is one that will not be sold again as part of some other good. If a baker buys flour, sugar, and butter, we don't count those as final goods because the baker will use those goods
stay
to make
safe,
a cake.
JJ.
In other words, they are goods that aren't finished yet. They are
Hi.
intermediate goods.
Have a good
Now,
day.
the cake the baker made using that flour, sugar, and butter is a final good since the cake is the final product, and its final destination is the consumer. In other words, a customer will buy it and consume it. There are also goods that are used to make other goods but are still considered final goods. These are called capital goods. For example, if a farmer buys a combine to harvest his crops, the combine is considered a final good. Even though the combine is used to produce other goods, it won't be sold again as part of another good. There are also capital goods used to provide services counted as final goods. For example, if a landscaper buys a chainsaw in order to take down trees, the chainsaw is considered a final good. GDP also only counts production in a given year. If an old car is sold this year, economists don't count it as part of GDP since the car wasn't produced this year. They only count new cars sold this year as part of GDP. Also, production is only counted if the good or service is produced within a country's borders. For example, if you are in the United States and buy a shirt imported from Vietnam, that adds to Vietnam's GDP, not the United States GDP. But a movie made in the United States that is shown in theaters in Vietnam adds to the United States GDP. It's helpful to think of the entire economy of a country as one big hypermarket store, meaning they sell pretty much everything you could possibly ever want to buy. Not just products like food and clothing, but also services like pet grooming and tax preparation. Every time a consumer buys a final good or service, we record the cost, just like at a cash register. All the cost combined over a given year is the GDP. Government economists often divide final goods and services into 4 categories: consumer goods and services, business goods and services, government goods and services, and net exports. Net exports are found by simply adding up exports and subtracting imports. Government economists
Which I want to point out, a lot of the stuff we manufacture, it does not go to other countries unless it's our munitions and weapons that we create. A lot of our vehicles and stuff do not get sold elsewhere. A lot of our food cannot be sold elsewhere. A lot of our clothing
Why?
doesn't get
Yeah,
sold.
why is that, Crazy B? Why is that?
Who knows? They tariff the shit out of us.
Exactly.
People trying to buy stuff from us and us buying stuff from them doesn't go well. And again, it's expensive
Well,
to have
we buy
imported,
things from them.
but they don't
Yeah,
buy
we buy
a lot
things
from
from
us in
other
return.
countries. They don't buy from us. Exactly.
And it doesn't help that, again, they say that the product has to be manufactured in the country. Well, half our manufacturing is done overseas.
hmm And
So
then you,
it hurts
and a
us.
lot of other things, you have to consider the parts too. Where does the parts, where are they manufactured from
Mhm.
as well? So there could be a car that's manufactured that, uh, they say is American made, but yet the engine or something comes from Korea or something like that. So
Mhm.
there's a lot to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out how interesting it is that they do that. We export
hmm
lots of food stuff. About 19% of what we grow is exported. Yeah, the wheat and the corn, but I'm talking like final product stuff. Um, so it's very complicated. We can't export many of our already mass produced foods. But like he said, the farming stuff, the soy, the potato, well, not so much the potatoes, the soy, the grain, the corn, that stuff tends to go elsewhere. But it's
Right.
still, I mean, we're buying all kinds of stuff from everywhere else in the world, benefiting them and not our own nation.
And that's Trump's bitch. And
Yep.
this goes back 40 years for him that he's been making this complaint. So tariffs is nothing new for him. If you do a little bit of digging, you'll see him making the same complaint over and over that we import way too much and we do not export enough. And the pieces that I don't like is from the, and we will get into this a little bit later, but I have to just repeat myself to be happy, is this how much we do import things such as
Mhm.
our medications. That bothers me so much that knowing what happened with the big C word
Yep.
and where that came from, and knowing potentially they're the ones that are going to be giving us the medications
Yeah.
to counteract that. I mean, are we sure that's what's in that medication? I don't, there's some things I think we have to do at home, and that's where it's national security for me.
Well,
It
and
just
Art brought
has
up a
to be.
good point about the final goods aren't exported because very few people in those other countries can afford to buy it. I agree. Mexico isn't going to be buying Ford F-150s brand new off the lot on their income.
No, but let's take a look at Hyundai from South Korea.
Hmm.
They're in South Korea easily, and then look at what what we're charged here to import that vehicle here.
Hmm.
So yes, I can see. I mean, here this goes back to this whole issue of what are we considering third world countries? China is not a third world country.
No.
South Korea is not. Japan is not. Taiwan is not.
Yeah.
Most of Europe is a large portion of Europe is not. I mean, now if we're talking some of the countries in Africa, yes, I could see that, but I think we're getting to the
Well,
point
everybody
of
talks about first and third
they
world, but they miss the second world countries. Most of Eastern Europe,
right,
the Southeastern
right.
Europe
Look
is
at
second world.
what about Saudi Arabia? Look at the money they have. Look at what India has. And yes, there's class system in India, but we do have wealthy sections
We have
uh,
class system
that
here.
can certainly afford. We do. That's true too.
But why would they buy
The
our
money is there.
vehicles? They're gonna buy a Ferrari or a Lamborghini before they'll buy a Dodge Viper.
Right,
Why? Because it's easier to import from Italy than it is America.
than it is from you.
That's,
That
I think,
whole, I think
what
that,
this is
yeah.
again part of the tariffs conversation, which is ironically how everything keeps going back to us exporting and importing stuff really
Hmm.
does impact our economy.
Right.
So,
And that it has been years in the making, I believe, and that we're just now at the cusp of hopefully things will change. And I'm just the believer if this doesn't work, what Trump is trying to pull off, we can always go back to the system that we've known. My hope would be that we continue to try to find new ways because we know that the old way isn't working. Something has to change. Something has to give. We cannot continue with this I mean, it blows my mind that we're trillions of dollars in debt. And it's just like no big deal. It's
yeah.
okay. I mean, and now that I know that, why don't I quit? Well, if I quit paying my bills, my lights off, my gas is off, my water is off.
Yeah. It's why
But
I've
yet
dialed
that's
back on what I buy, and I do try to buy
right.
a lot from American produced type stuff, local farmers. That's my
Mhm.
goal. But there are things sometimes I need that really, if I want the best quality for the best price, I do got to go from out of America to get it. And that's not right.
Exactly.
I shouldn't
Exactly.
have to do that. I
Right.
shouldn't be forced to wait 30 days for China to ship me a frickin' piece for my computer because the ones here in America are either poorly made or don't last as long, and they don't
Non-existent.
function
Yeah,
as
or
good.
non-existent. Right. Right.
Or it's just,
Mm.
and I don't like that. I really would like to see a lot of production coming back to America. I really would.
Yeah, for as big as this country is, there is no reason why we can't make anything and everything that we wanted. Now, I do realize that there's just some things that are going to be cost prohibitive that,
Mhm.
uh, good the other thing that really makes me hot and heavy is customer service, right? As a HR person, it pisses me off to no end knowing that we farmed customer service to other
Mhm.
countries.
Oh,
Bring them
yes.
back.
People
Bring the
like me
jobs back.
sitting at home can do customer service on the phone from my bed.
Exactly.
Give me a job. People who are disabled at home,
And I
but
don't
still mentally
right.
capable of working, give us those jobs.
And I'll tell you what, if you're telling me that it's cheaper to have a phone bank in India, to have them answering customer service rep calls, in all honesty, I do not want to do business with you as a consumer because you've proven to me that you're going to go and pay cheap wages at who knows what rate, but it's obviously cheaper than what it is for an American worker, right?
Oh, yeah.
So who knows what they're paid. And if you would see samples of these phone banks and they're crammed into a little desk like I'm working off of right now, uh, it just is unacceptable. And to me, that proves that that company will probably do, I don't want to say just about anything, but you get the gist of what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Bring the jobs back. If you're telling me that now there are some, California for one, minimum wage. I mean, where I live, minimum wage is still at $7.75 an hour. That's absolutely ridiculous, right? But
Well,
if
but
it's at
minimum
70,
wage is meant to
75 an
be.
hour,
Well, hold on. Minimum
it's
wage is
American
meant to
based.
be for the teenagers who are just getting out of high school, holding a job. Your fast food, your
It
grocery
doesn't
store
say
people.
that.
It
It
should be.
doesn't say that, but it doesn't. So you could conceivably be hired as a customer rep, and I could say I'm paying you $7.75. Now, most people would turn that down. But
Yeah.
if you're telling me you're sending that job, that $7.75 over to India, right? I'll bet you they're paying cheaper than that.
Oh, I know they are.
To me, that is totally that company is not an American company.
No.
That I mean, to me, that's scraping the bottom of the barrel.
The problem is $6 an hour may be the best paying job available in India where it's
Exactly.
below. Yes. And that's why they do this. Why do you think there's sweatshops in
Right.
Vietnam making your Nikes?
Mhm. Right.
I mean, we could
I
literally go
mean,
on
and
for
here we're
hours.
paying right. And what are tennis shoes, running
Nike
shoes,
average price of
you
Nike
know,
right now is $70, I think is the medial price. It can go be as low as like
how much?
50 if it's on 70 to 80 is the average for your
Oh, I see.
your lower end Nikes, your older
Your
models that are
lower
on
end, that's
sale.
lower end, yeah.
Yeah, but if
Yep,
you wanna go for your what most people are aiming for, you're looking at over $100 for a pair of shoes.
exactly. Yep, and that's ridiculous.
Mhm.
A T-shirt, they want, you know, $40 for a T-shirt. I'm like, "Give me a regular T-shirt and give me a permanent marker, and I'll draw a Nike symbol on it." Uh
You sound like me.
Uh-huh. It there's gotta be a better way, and the problem is nobody has looked at this stuff for such a long time, and where
Art
do you
says it's
begin? And it
Art goes, "It's not a sweatshop if you're paying the highest wage in the country."
well, that's if we know that, but on some of the videos with, the way that, women are at the sewing machines and lack of breaks and, being
Children,
able to take a lunch.
children, child
Yes,
labor.
yes, children, right. Mhm,
But, yeah, Thomas
right.
Sowell has some really interesting things to put out there about
Big
this
time. Yep,
kinda
yep.
stuff.
And I
I
actually had something on Thomas Sowell, but I thought it would be more classroomish. But now that I know that I was working on my thesis, what? All of a sudden now I can't talk.
doctoral thesis in
Anyway,
podcasting.
yes, I would have pulled some of his videos, but I thought they were a little too much. But all right, let's continue, shall we?
Economists can also
Or not,
calculate
or
GDP
not.
using another method. Instead of adding up all the stuff that consumers, businesses, and the government buys, it can add up all the incomes in the economy. There is also nominal GDP and real GDP. Nominal GDP is measured in current prices. Real GDP is measured in constant or unchanging prices. In other words, real GDP is nominal GDP but adjusted for inflation. Real GDP is a more accurate way to measure economic growth, since inflation can distort the actual value of goods and services. However, GDP is not a perfect way to assess the health of a country's economy. First of all, GDP doesn't take into account many things that could be considered part of an economy. For example, it doesn't measure non-market activities, or goods and services that people make or do themselves, like mowing their own lawn or washing their own car. It doesn't measure the underground economy, like in the black market or market for illegal goods, as well as transactions that are legal but simply not reported.
The black market is
That's
for
funny.
illegal goods. I just want
I
to
was
point
gonna
this
say,
out. That is kind of a
is there a way?
redundancy there. The black market
Is
wouldn't
there?
exist if there were no illegal goods, and if there weren't illegal goods, the black market. Yeah, come on,
Well,
come
my
on.
thing is, where do we track that? Where do we track that? Is there the illegal
The
good
feds
websites
track the
that we
black
all and our
markets.
yeah, right,
The
right.
feds
I know,
track
but
it, but they
still,
don't
it just
tell us this.
I know that, but I'm just saying,
I just
I'm
wanted to point out
illegally
the
doing
ridiculousness
whatever.
of black
It's
market and
crazy.
illegal goods are untracked. It's one and
Uh-huh.
the same. Black market and illegal goods are one and the same. When the government starts adjusting numbers, you get all sorts of goofiness and they adjust almost everything. Exactly.
Right.
MJ was
Mhm.
talking about that earlier too. Um, Crown Target, you can oh
Wait,
shit,
go
hold on.
back. Wait, what
You
did that say?
you can get
If
a
we get a
purse on the
purse,
black market, but that doesn't
okay,
mean the purses are illegal. True. That's true. They're usually knockoffs, copyright infringements
right?
of some sort, and the quality is absolute garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're stolen. Or they're stolen. So that
Correct.
does make it illegal because it's a stolen good. And you can go to prison for possessing
For
something stolen,
purchasing,
even if you
right?
didn't know it was stolen. There's another fun
Correct.
one. I had an
And
uncle who
so
learned
if you
learned the
live
hard
in
way.
Yeah. So if you live in New York City, be careful what you buy, especially off of a street vendor.
Uh-huh. All right, let me hit play. We'll get through these last 2 minutes ish, 3 minutes, whatever.
GDP also doesn't measure unintended negative externalities. For example, a power plant that creates air pollution by emitting dust and smoke into the air is not subtracted from the GDP. GDP makes no adjustment for leisure time. For example, if workers get more time off in one country yet produce the same amount, they are not rewarded for it. GDP counts goods and services even when those goods and services are created after disasters. For example, if a tornado wipes out a building, GDP automatically increases when a new building takes its place. And finally, GDP doesn't account for how goods and services are distributed. It doesn't affect the GDP if lots is produced, and most of it only goes to a small minority of the wealthiest individuals.
I was going to say, does this also count when people return the product and ask for refunds? Do they track that? I'm curious. Because I've had to return a lot of shit
I
products.
yeah, I don't want to say the wrong thing, so
I'll
I'm
hit
not gonna.
play. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Individuals. One way economists attempt to calculate a slightly more accurate measure of a country's economy is by figuring out its GDP per capita. Like the name suggests, to get GDP per capita, you just take a country's GDP and divide by its population. To quickly illustrate this difference, let's look at Germany and China. In 2020, China's GDP was 17.7 trillion USD, and Germany's GDP was 3.8 trillion USD. However, Germany's GDP per capita was $45,724, and China's GDP per capita was just $10,511. Some economists have called for alternatives to GDP in order to more accurately assess the health of a country's economy with a general emphasis on quality of life. Some of these alternatives include the Human Development Index, Inclusive Wealth Index,
Oh my
and
God.
Genuine Progress Indicator. Regardless, gross domestic product continues to be the go-to metric government policymakers rely on when planning for their country's economic future, because institutions are better equipped to measure its components, and the clarity
Crazy
of its
B, will you do
definition
me a favor?
reduces the likelihood of
Hold on.
infusing bias.
Yes, ma'am.
Go back to that previous screen.
This one?
Yeah, could you screenshot that and send it to me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, give me 2 seconds. You're going to turn this into a meme?
I don't know yet.
I wouldn't
have
blame
to
you
do
if
a
you
little
did.
I have to do a
Okay.
little research.
All right. It's screenshot
Go
coming
ahead.
over.
Thank you.
Regardless, gross domestic
Thank you, ma'am.
product continues to be the go-to metric government policymakers rely on when planning for their country's economic future, because institutions are better equipped to measure its components, and the clarity of its definition reduces the likelihood of infusing bias. In this way, GDP remains the primary way to quickly measure the health of an economy.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for
Yeah. Interesting. I'm not sure if I 100% like the system, but
No.
it doesn't always, like Art was saying, it doesn't always reflect properly. GDP per employee is more accurate than per capita because not everybody produces goods or services. Very good
Producer.
point.
Correct. Right.
Very good point there.
And then I'm curious to see what numbers do they include our illegal friends in that number?
Probably
Or
not.
not?
Probably not.
I would say no, but they have Social Security cards and stuff, so who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Our next video is going to be a tad annoying, but we got to go through it, and we get to listen to the lies from the different county, wherever this came from. It's on why we pay taxes.
How long is it?
2
How
minutes
long
and
is
3
this?
2 minutes and 3 seconds.
Okay.
It'll probably
Okay,
be our
everybody
last
hold your
one for
breath.
the day because of the
I
time
was gonna
frame.
say. Yeah. 'Cause
Yep.
Crazy B takes up so much time chit-chatting. Sorry. I'll
Anyway.
try to control her next video. Yeah, uh-huh.
Hey, it
Go
leaves
ahead.
us more time to cover all the tariffs and the financial aid over the next 2 days.
This is true. Oh, yeah, they're gonna like that.
Tariffs is gonna take the longest, in my opinion.
Uh-huh. I agree.
Alright. So, let's hit play, get through this, and then we can do our peace out for the day things.
Welcome to County Office, your ultimate guide to local government services and public records. Let's get started.
Why do we have to pay taxes? And taxes are a fundamental part of modern society. They are compulsory contributions levied by governments. These funds are used to finance public services and infrastructure. Roads, schools, and hospitals are examples of services funded by taxes.
And as we know, they do a piss poor job
That never gets
doing
I
it.
can't tell you the last time a road was done around here.
Oh, really
We're
done? Or just that dump some asphalt into it and pat it down with the shovel and move on?
Wait, dump some what?
Asphalt. The black
Wrong.
tarry
It's
stuff they usually put on.
it's
My
called
uncle
it's called it's
Black
called
ta
asphalt.
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 Oh, whatever. I had an H. Sue
See,
me.
there we go. North and the South Pole crap at it again.
I was born and raised in
Asphalt.
Michigan. Seriously?
Well, hey, several states away. Hey, we're the I worked for Public Works. I know what I'm talking about.
My uncle sat on the Board of Transportation, the Department of Transportation in Michigan. So I know
And
I just don't pronounce it right. Sue me. You won't get anything. I'm
do you have
broke.
any? I was going to say, do you have any money? It might be worth it if you have some money.
I got 5 cents sitting on my
It was
desk.
just, it was a very interesting pronunciation, and I just was like, what did I hear? That's why I asked you to repeat it. It was
Yeah.
cute. I can't help it. So sue me.
I'll sue you for a
Anyway,
nickel if you sue me for a nickel.
do we even? Oh, and then we'd have 2 nickels to rub together. Woo! There we go. So,
There. Okay, back to play.
grasshoppers.
Oh my God! Before we get sidetracked
Okay.
further, here's play.
National defense and public safety also rely on tax revenue. Taxes support social programs such as Social Security and Medicare. Without taxes, essential services would be underfunded. Governments use taxes to redistribute wealth and reduce economic inequality.
Oh, right there. Right there. Redistribute wealth and reduce economic inequality. Socialism. Socialism.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Let's get back to this.
Taxes can also influence economic behavior. For example, tax incentives can encourage investments in renewable energy.
Oh, this
Paying
is so
taxes is a
DEI.
legal obligation. Failure to
I
pay
was just going to
taxes
say,
can
I don't
result in
know.
penalties
A
and
long
legal
2 minutes.
consequences.
Woke DEI.
Taxes are collected at various levels of
Socialism.
government, including federal, state, and local. Each level of government has different tax responsibilities. Federal taxes fund national programs, while state and local taxes fund regional services. Different types of taxes include income tax, sales tax, and property tax. Income tax is based on earnings, while sales tax is applied to goods and services. Property tax is levied on real estate ownership. Understanding why we pay taxes helps us appreciate their role in society. Taxes ensure the functioning of government and public services. They are essential for maintaining a stable and prosperous society. Dean.
Can you stop 1 second there, Crazy Bee?
Yes,
So
I
a couple
can.
things about that. Is I really, after and prior to this, I had been listening to some information and reading some information on whether or not you should purchase a home these days, right? And
Mm-hmm.
everybody's like, I want to buy a home. I want to own a home. You really don't own anything. You may own the building, but the government owns your land.
Yes, it does.
If you don't pay your property tax and you don't pay your school tax, they can come and take everything away from you.
Oh, yeah.
They'll file a lien, or they can go into a magistrate's court, file documentation against you, and guess what? Bye-bye house. And
bye-bye car.
It's really
bye-bye investments.
And as somebody that's getting older, whose mortgage is paid off, whose property taxes are through the roof, while the county taxes are reasonable, the school taxes are out of the roof. How, as a senior citizen, do you pay your property taxes plus your upkeep on the house? That's one portion of this. And I don't know if you can pull that little chart thing up you had there, Crazy Bee, from what she said at the end there.
Oh, I closed it out because we're getting to the last 9 minutes.
Because you've had it. Is that why?
Well, no, but it was also the video was done, and so I started closing out to be ready.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm giving you what you're getting at the end, what you started at the beginning with me. But it's really an interesting dilemma of whether do you rent or do you own.
I would rather own.
So
even
would I.
though it's frustrating.
Also, right, and so a piece with the home ownership, and I think we're going to touch upon this when we do the credit reports and that type of thing, is that a lot of people don't take into consideration that by the time you pay interest and other things, you're almost paying double for what your home costs.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why I don't like going through the banks. I like doing land contract or rent to own.
Correct. So there's various options on how to get out of that, to work around that. But it's very frustrating to know that, the house is paid. We thought we did everything right. And now we're at the point of my property taxes are expensive. And I'm in the rural end of the township. I mean, we have chickens, and this Saturday we're getting 2 baby goats. So that tells you what's going on my end of the township. And what's interesting even about that is they went to court because there were property owners that had tons of land, acreage, and the township had said that this part would be kept green and that there would be no housing developments. And property owners went to the state, and it went to the Supreme Court. And the court said you cannot dictate to a homeowner how to sell their house and what can be done with the property.
Yep.
So we now have 3 new housing plans that are in. And so I'm looking to move and buy 200 acres somewhere that has 0 property tax, but that's probably neither here nor there. But I
Most
often
places
hear
have property tax, but in my
right,
area, it's not bad. It's a very
right.
affordable property
It
tax where
depends
I
on
live.
where you live, right. The other thing is you'll hear a lot of people say, just don't pay your income tax from your paycheck. And
You don't get a
again, you're
say.
talking to HR, and I'm going to say you have to, unless you have a significant other who's paying that portion. You do not get to sign. You can sign and say you're not going to, well, that's difficult to pull off. Let me just say 99.9% of the time, you don't get to come to HR and say, guess what, I'm not paying my taxes. That
It
just
doesn't work
doesn't
that way.
happen. It's nope, it does not work that way. And anybody that tells you otherwise, send them, tell me. I'd like to hear the stories because I'm here to tell you that it does not happen. You'll hear many people say, just don't pay it. Most companies take it out automatically. You do not have a choice.
When you
If you
fill
don't
out
fill
that
out that
paperwork to
form,
get hired, you fill out your
that's right.
tax papers, and if you don't fill them
Yep.
out, you don't get hired. It's kind of a catch-22.
Yep. Right. Yep. So, all right, I'm worn out.
I am too. I'm achy today. We got that rain in, and then I did that stupid shit
Mhm.
Monday, walking all over the doctor's office building and stuff.
Well,
I'm achy.
and I turned the furnace off at the beginning of April. We had snow this week on Monday. There was snow on the ground. I don't know if the
Chocolate flakes
flowers
from
and the
the sky.
fruit. Yep.
Don't
Yep.
say the bad S word.
I won't. And it's cold in the house. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
bring the heater out, I guess, the little
We're in the
portable
upper
heater.
60s, but with rain. It's like,
We were
ugh.
we were 29. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, at night,
I
we're
need to
getting
move.
down into the 30s, but then it jumps up to almost 70 during the day, then it jumps down to the 30s.
I'd move south, but then I'm like, I'd have to worry about hurricanes. I almost said volcanoes. That's funny. I'm tired, man. I'm hitting the wall. I'm on the wall right now. Well,
Art says
listen to
there's
me.
a
I'm
minimum withholding, so the government gets money whether you want to
money
that or
weather.
not.
That's
You
right.
may or may not owe more than that than what was withheld.
Which is
Yes, that's why
withheld.
we always
Right.
claim 0 in the beginning or claim 1, and then we
Right.
claim the rest, at the end of the year, so we're not
Right.
ever going to owe, except on the state level. For
Mhm.
some reason, in my state, you
Right.
always end up owing some shit.
So do we. So do we. Always. And I always treated with having the business, I always claimed I actually claimed a -1, plus I had additional money taken out.
Wait, you can
So that the
claim
business
minus numbers?
Uh-huh. Yep.
I didn't know
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yep. And
intriguing.
I'd have extra money taken out to cover business taxes so that I knew that every quarter I never had to worry about the money being there.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the business had to pay me back plus interest because I charged Eric, but no, I didn't charge him. But
You
I always
should've.
made sure that there was. I know I should have. I always made sure that there was money to cover the business because I didn't want the IRS to
Come
every
in and
quarter to come back with a
start causing
problem. Yeah.
problems. Yep.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. If for small businesses, it's ridiculous. I'm at the point of, I've been saying this since he started the business. He will tell you, to me, it is not worth it. I give credit to all small business owners out there, from what you have to carry in liability insurance, workers' compensation insurance,
Oh, yeah.
vehicle insurances. I mean, utilities, toilet paper, paper towels, hand soap, vehicle maintenance.
Toilet
It
paper.
just, yeah, it just is absolutely. Plus, he works so hard for what he gets that it's a lot. It really is a lot. And
Mhm.
I'm at the point of enough is enough. And I keep working on him, and I've tried to convince him to move, but so far the answer is no. And I did tell him, and I've told you before, if he passes away before me, well, this chick's out of here. So
Yep.
what can I say? We're gonna build a tiny home somewhere. Step
I
on the
can't blame
property and
you
the
on that one.
tiny home. Step on the property, you'll be met with the dogs and, well, let's say some other types of equipment.
Mhm.
But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I'm getting, but I do worry, like where you're at, that you were under a tornado watch the other day. I don't think I could live like that. Then
I
other
don't have a
people that I
choice.
know, I know you don't have a choice. Then other people I know, they're like in the desert area. Now, I
Yeah.
don't know if I could do that or not. They're already pushing, 80, 90 degrees, and
No, they get up in the hundreds.
I know, but it's already April, and I'm telling you, they're at 80, 90 degrees already, turning on the air conditioner, and I need to turn the furnace on and refuse to.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cost of propane is crazy. It cost me, for the two properties, almost between $7,000 to $9,000 in propane to heat the houses.
I can believe it.
But whatever. Anyway, I don't know how people survive today.
I don't know how they do either, but we do. We make it work
We
somehow.
do. Yeah, one day at a time. That's all we could do. Anyway, people, we appreciate you being with us. We hope, tomorrow's Friday will probably be worse than we were today. That's all I could say. So bear with us, buckle up, and we're finishing up, aren't we?
Yep. We're about done for the day.
Not today, for tomorrow. Is tomorrow, are we doing tariffs tomorrow? Or
Yeah,
are we
we could
doing
do
that
tariffs
Sunday?
tomorrow along with a few other things if we can squeeze them in.
Ooh.
Tomorrow
I
is
gotta look.
things that impact our economy, that hurt us for the most part.
All right, we'll have to talk offline about that. I don't
Hey,
know if I'm ready
Brent.
for tariffs.
You're catching the
Hey,
tail
Brent.
end. You're gonna wanna
Yeah,
rewind
sure.
this and go back to the beginning.
Yeah, or maybe not. I don't know about that. All right, so we'll have to take a look at the whole tariff thing, which videos
Mhm.
we wanna do, because I sent you, 500 of them?
I found I think it's 4 that no, there's 2 really good ones. One that is
Okay.
pro-Trump's tariffs, one that is anti-Trump tariffs.
Right, and
So,
that's what we wanna show.
yes, I've
Yeah,
got
let's
2
do
good
those 2.
ones that are as good, and of course, we're gonna have long conversation with it. Those 2 videos will probably be the whole episode. And
Okay.
then we can talk about the stocks and bonds, and then, we still have the World Financial Aid Bank that we put together.
Oh, geez.
We still
All
got
right,
that.
why don't we hold off on tariffs and do those other pieces and get that finished up? Then depending on where we're at, we'll go into tariffs, and we could finish that up on Sunday and try
Brent
to
says
finish
he's gonna
economic
have
week.
to now for sure.
You have no idea, Brent, what's going on in this one.
It's been a fun episode. It really has.
Yes, it has. Yes. Or we'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. You'll be surprised. We'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah. And
All
tomorrow's
right.
gonna definitely be we're gonna keep it to the 2 hours, but we don't know how exactly long this is going to break up and go through.
Yeah.
But Trump's tariffs are something, but I wouldn't call them tariffs exactly. Yeah, it's interesting. So we're going to get into it tomorrow more than
Yeah,
what we
we
did.
either.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's going to be longer than we'll talk about it offline. That's okay.
Yep.
We'll talk about it.
It's going to
and
probably be
figure
a
out what
lot longer. We're going to end up probably covering the rest of this over the next week too. So there's a lot. There is a lot to
because we
cover.
still have the politicians in there yet too, right?
That's
And
for the
I'm not even
follow. That's when we're done with all the economic stuff. Or
right,
no, no, we were going to touch on some of the politicians. Wait,
right,
Economy 101 completed? No, we're not even close.
right. And we have a lot to look at yet, I think. Okay, we'll
I'm
talk
glad you
about it.
made it there safe, JJ.
Yep.
The tariff math is a bit dubious. Yes, it is. All
We're
right.
not doing math. We're not.
No, no,
Yeah, we're
no.
not doing any math.
He's
I
talking
know.
the way
I know
they
what he's
come
saying.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I already saw the big hands going. Oh, look at his. Yeah, wait till you see CNN's reporting. If you take a look at that,
Oh yeah.
that's a.
I've got to find
That's
a
a
clip
mess.
from them. But no, I've got the liberal hive mind breakdown video and the Brad
Yeah.
Columbo breakdown video. So
Okay.
those
That's cool.
two put it into words that most people can understand. And I like the
Right.
way that both of them presented. And both of
Right.
them voted for Trump, by the way. So,
hmm
all
Well,
right.
didn't the majority of people vote for Trump?
Oh, yeah. And now it's like,
Well,
people, again, this is the pros and cons of all of it.
no,
So,
he's only. Well, we're done. I'm
yeah,
done. I'm
I
worn
say
out.
we call it a
I
day.
can't.
We've already
I
gone,
say
we've already hit the 2 hour mark. And well,
okay.
2 hours and 5 minutes because we started 5 minutes early to get all the stuff shared out and all that. But we're late getting to
Okay.
actually talking. So, we've been talking for 2 hours. We'll give everyone a break, let them get to work, what they got to do. And we will be back
And
tomorrow.
again, remember to please like and follow. That's all we're asking is to like and follow. You don't need to comment if you don't want to. If you want to, that's fine. We will respond to you. Don't forget, you can always hit us up in the Discord, which is in our description. And I think I'm done.
I think I am too.
All right, everybody. Have a good evening. We'll
I'm
see you
going to throw up
tomorrow.
the intro. No, I don't got to do the outro here. I don't have the outro for us. That's right. We were supposed to work on that this weekend. Anyways, peace out,
That's this
people,
weekend.
and
Mhm.
stay safe, stay sane, stay sober, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.
Bye, everybody.